Okay, I think we can get started. For those of you who are viewing on the web here, we're having a post-Super Bowl party where we're going to play a little bit for each other and discuss some of the aesthetics and technique behind performing. And I think I'll start by playing you something. It's out of a book of etudes that are very popular for low brass players. Their etudes were written by Bordoni, an Italian composer, and they're written as vocalese. That is, they're exercises for singers to increase their expressive quality. They would sing through these etudes in order to become more expressive as singers. And a man by the name of Rochu transcribed them for trombone, and other people have transcribed them for tuba and other instruments. And they're really good examples of etudes that can work in many different ways for a player. And so I'll just play a little bit of one of the more popular ones that tuba players and trombone players play all the time. So that's just half of one of Bordoni's vocalese. Now, I know we have one person who's willing to play, but can anyone tell me what is the most important technical aspect of playing a wind instrument? Air, exactly, air. Without air, our instrument doesn't go. If you don't blow out some air, nothing happens, right? And if you don't take in air, very little happens. And this fact is often lost amongst the hustle and bustle of getting into a band rehearsal. And I understand that we have limited time for everyone to be together. So we get in and we start playing the music, or we start our intonation drills or other things right away. I understand that, and often I have to do that as well with the groups that I conduct. So it is our responsibility as wind and brass players, to sort of warm up our air so that we actually can play in tune. Because if you aren't breathing right, if your air mechanism isn't moving right, then it's very difficult to play with any dynamic, to play with a good tone, or to play in tune. And then of course you have to warm up the instrument as well. And my instrument had been sitting a while, so first thing I do was flush out all the cold and stale air that was in there by blowing into it, and then I start playing. And that happens a lot with tuba players. If you play in an orchestra, you're sitting around a lot, and I play in an opera orchestra, so I'm sitting around a whole lot. So the first thing that I do when I pick up to get ready to play is blow out all the stale air that's in there, because it's all about the air and how you use that air that allows you to do everything else, from articulation to playing loud to playing soft and everything in between. So how do we warm up our air? How do we get the air going? Do we need to warm up our air? I mean, you're all breathing right now, right? I assume you're breathing this morning and maybe last night, maybe while you're sleeping. So why is it that we need to warm up our air? Because the instrument's cold? Yep. One reason. Why else? Yep.
takes warm air to actually play the instrument. Colder air goes sharper, while warmer air keeps it.
Yep, to get the air at the right temperature. We're usually not thinking about that during the day. Any other reason? Yeah.
You need more air to play your instrument than when you're regularly.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, look at the size of this thing. This is huge. And I need to fill it up with air. But even on small instruments, like a flute, takes an amazing amount of air to be able to play and to be able to play well. It takes much more air than what you're used to doing, which is just, usually you breathe just enough to stay conscious so that you don't pass out. So what you're doing now is fine if in the performance all you're going to do is sit there. However, because playing an instrument takes much more air than just sitting around, then we have to warm that up. We have to prepare for that. And it's hard because the habit is to breathe only as much as you need to stay conscious. So when you pick up your instrument and you're about to play something, habit usually kicks in and you just breathe like you're breathing now. You'll learn to overcome that habit after you've gone through a few occasions when, for the last note of a piece, the conductor goes like this, and he's holding it, and you're out of air, and he keeps going like this, and the percussion is whacking away. He keeps going like this, and all of a sudden you realize, wow, I was breathing just like normal when I should have been breathing like I'm playing an instrument. So there are a bunch of breathing techniques and breathing exercise systems that you can get online and on the web. One is called the breathing gym, which is a very popular thing. It's different exercises to really focus your mind and your body on breathing certain ways. But for now, since we have limited time, I'm going to teach you one exercise that's not only good for you individually, but for those of you watching on the web, it's great for doing in a band setting. And it's very simple. You breathe in for 8 counts. You breathe out. No, you hold it for 24, and then you breathe out for 8 counts. Okay? In for 8, hold for 24, out for 8. How long does that take? Do the math. 40 seconds. Okay. So you do that 3 times, and how long does it take?
40 seconds.
No, if you do it 3 times.
120 seconds.
Translate that into minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes out of your life. And for those of you who are band directors, please take this seriously, because if your band breathes better and breathes together, they're going to play better and play together. So do this at the beginning of your band rehearsal, or if time is really at a premium, encourage your players to do this before they come to band, because you can do it while you're walking. It's harder to do while you're walking. But the beauty of doing this at the beginning of band rehearsal is you get complete silence in the room for 2 minutes. And you can have a percussionist be counting off the numbers and taking the band through it while you're doing, bringing up your scores or administrative stuff. But it really focuses in the entire ensemble after they've come from other classes or other activities. So we're going to try it right now. There are a couple of things I want you to keep in mind while we're doing this. If you haven't done it yet today, 24 seconds is going to seem like a long time. Really not that long, but it'll seem like a long time. You will feel tense because breathing in for 8 seconds is a long time to breathe in. But I want you to fill all the way up. And then as you're holding your breath, you'll feel tense, but I want you to try to relax as much as possible. Let your shoulders drop down on your lungs that are full of air. Just let them sit on top of those lungs. And then breathing out for 8 seconds is very difficult after you've been holding your breath that long. So we need to learn the control of regulating our exhale, because that's how we play our instruments. So remember to breathe out slowly for the full 8 seconds, and then remember most of all that breath that you take afterwards. Probably be the biggest breath you took all day. Now, if you feel dizzy, just exhale and go back to being, breathing normally. A lot of people will feel lightheaded after holding their breath this long. But it's something that improves quickly. You do it once, you do it the second time, even if you take a 10-second break or whatever, and you can all of a sudden do it a bit better. You do it the third time, and 24 seconds maybe isn't that bad. But the benefits, obviously, to the instrument are great, because you're stretching out these muscles around the rib cage, which are usually somewhat tight, especially in the morning. They're called intercostal muscles. You're stretching them out so that you can actually breathe more deeply, and your rib cage can expand more freely when you're breathing without that sense of tension. But it's also calming your body down. So if you have to talk in public, or if you're going out on a date, or if you got a big exam, anything that makes you nervous, do this exercise and it'll calm your body down. You may still be nervous up in the back of your head, but at least your body will be a bit calmer than you would be if you hadn't done this exercise. Anyone have any questions? Yes?
Do we breathe from our chest or from our stomach?
That's an extremely good question. I've heard that a lot. When people tell you to breathe from certain places, they're trying to trigger a concept in your head that isn't really tied to any. The concept is to trigger a certain response in your body. You're going to breathe. The diaphragm is shaped like a hat, and when you breathe, it flexes by flattening out. It basically makes the cavity on the inside a bit more open, and air comes in. There's a vacuum in there, so the air comes in. It's simple physics. And then when it relaxes, it goes back up into a dome position, and your rib cage comes back in, and the air comes out. So I've heard people say breathe from your toes because it gets people to breathe more deeply. I've heard people say breathe from your chest, and because the chest expands. Heard people say breathe from your stomach because you can really feel the diaphragm flattening out. I just want you to breathe deeply. Don't even think about where it's happening. I just want you to think deep breath. And whatever happens to your body will be fine. For this exercise especially. For other exercises, then we can focus on different things.